Okay, so this Wrestling Rambles 89, he's a good YouTube channel. I like his content. He uploads a lot of the, like, just clips of the Stone Cold podcast. And Steve Austin's Wrestling Mount Rushmore. Let's hear what Steve Austin's Wrestling Mount Rushmore is.
LeBron James, another Mount Rushmore of their sport. Read an article on WWE's Mount Rushmore consisting of Hulk Hogan, The Ultimate Warrior, The Undertaker, and yourself. Personally, I would think of it as a Hulk Hogan, The Rock, John Cena, and yourself. If you were to name a Mount Rushmore, whose would yours consist of? Nick, man, I had a good run, but I don't put myself on any Mount Rushmore. I leave that for other people to do that. I got guys that I really look up to and admire and have done so many great things in the business, whether it was from a pure work standpoint in the ring or just pure money drawing ability or a combination of both. And I just think it'd be, I don't know, a disservice or disrespect to so many other guys, because if you didn't have all the other guys to go down the road and work with, there wouldn't even, you couldn't even have the conversation. So I think that conversation is better left to people like you and who want to do that. If I'm on anybody's Mount Rushmore, that's cool. If I'm not on your Mount Rushmore, that's cool with me too. I'm just happy with the run that I did have, and I'll leave it at that.
That's a cop-out. That's a cop-out, but it's cool. Like, that's totally fine. I think the question could have been better asked to Steve Austin, like, name his top 4 biggest influences in professional wrestling, and maybe that would have been better. So here's my Mount Rushmore of wrestling. It's not necessarily the best wrestler. You can have a different Mount Rushmore for every category, but my Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, as in WWE sports entertainment. Now, like I said, they're not necessarily the best wrestlers. These are just, I think, the Mount Rushmore of WWE. And I'm going to go with number 1, The Undertaker. Just, I think Undertaker's greatest of all time. Number 2, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Dude sold more merchandise than anybody. It is what it is. Number 3, Hulk Hogan. He built the whole thing, and the expansion wouldn't be without Hulk Hogan. Now, number 4 is the hardest one. I've got 3 candidates that I kind of go back and forth with who I want to put up there. I'll name the other 2, and then I'll put who I'm leaning towards as number 1 is my last one. So number 3 would be The Rock, just because The Rock has gone on to be the biggest star in Hollywood. So I feel like if you wanted to do a Mount Rushmore of wrestlers who become famous in Hollywood, The Rock would have to be on that Mount Rushmore. I think The Rock, The Rock was a huge star right along with Stone Cold Steve Austin, but Austin was the one he was the catapult who started the whole Attitude Era. Austin was the one who sold the record amounts of merchandise, and then The Rock took off. But The Rock took off the Austin and The Rock went up the card at the same time. They feuded in the mid cards together, but Austin was the one who hit the stratosphere first, and then The Rock eventually joined him. That's why I put Austin as a definite on the Mount Rushmore. The other name that I'm going to leave off, but I feel like you could make a very good case to be on Mount Rushmore, is John Cena. John Cena is probably the best wrestler on the Mount Rushmore list. The dude had a run like no other up until recently. I still think his run is more impressive than Roman Reigns. He was the fighting champion for a good portion of a decade, whereas Roman Reigns, the last few years, only shows up on occasion, whereas John Cena was on TV every week for a decade. The guy was a machine. The guy was awesome. And then following the decade where he was on top, he was still on top for a good portion of the following decade. And then the last couple of years, obviously, he's slowed down. We're going to get his farewell tour this year. But the one person I'm putting above both of those guys on my Mount Rushmore, Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant is my fourth Mount Rushmore member. Andre the Giant was the first attraction in WWE, in professional wrestling as a whole. He was the first one where, like, he would come into the territory or whatever in addition to your world champion. You'd have an Andre the Giant match. Kind of what, like, The Undertaker became. You'd have a world title match, and then you'd have the Undertaker match. Because the Undertaker, don't forget, for like a long time, he wasn't even like in the title picture. He was like an attraction. Kind of like what the Miz is now. The Miz is not really like, the Miz is still like the top, like a top guy, but he's more of an attraction. He's like, in addition to the world title match, you get the Miz. But yeah, I feel like Andre the Giant, he was the first must-see attraction in wrestling. Andre the Giant is my fourth Mount Rushmore. So there you go. The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. Those are my four. If you wanted me to do the top four as far as wrestling ability, completely different Mount Rushmore. Completely different. If you wanted me to do a Mount Rushmore of my favorite wrestlers personally, would be completely different than that Mount Rushmore. But that's who I feel like should be the Mount Rushmore of WWE. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace!